Letting go is one of the easiest ways to manifest and change your life. But how do you do it? We'll explore that together in this video with a simple 4-step process for letting go. Welcome, my friend. Now, why letting go? Why is this necessary for manifestation and for living a happier, healthy life in general? Well, the Buddha said it best. The root of suffering is our attachment. And it follows that by letting go of our attachment to people, places, things, outcomes, or our own manifestations and desires, that we can heal our own suffering. And letting go is also key to raising our vibration, which aids our manifesting even more. Letting go of the meaning we assign to things that no longer serves us. Letting go of ways our identity is tied up to the meaning that we assign to those things. Let's explore this concept with losing a job, for example. For one person, the meaning they attached to that moment is very negative. Their whole life is upside down. They're afraid, they're scared, they're constricted, they're in pain and suffering because of the meaning that they have assigned to this very moment. Even though technically they just lost the job, nothing bad has actually happened yet, right? They still have food, they still have a place to sleep. So far, it's all in their head. Now, for the second person, same moment, different meaning. For the second person, this is freedom. They're finally free of that toxic job. It gives them a blank slate and a blank canvas upon which they can paint a brand new version of their life. And again, nothing's happened to person number 2 either. This is all in their head just as much as it was for the first person. But you can see how something as simple as the meaning we assign to a thing can completely change how our reality looks and feels and our happiness within. Because the truth is this, the universe and reality are fundamentally neutral. It's only the meaning that we assign to things and understandings that at any point we can choose to change that meaning that we assign. We can let go of the meaning if it doesn't serve us and reframe the story to one that benefits us in the now. Now, let's get into this 4-step process to let go and manifest, where we're gonna dive deeper on how to do this and on why we get attached in the first place and what we can do about it. Now, the first step is awareness. Oftentimes, we aren't even aware of the meaning and the story we've assigned to something, or the way in which we are attached to something. So take jealousy, for example. This is one that I've struggled with in my life for a long time. And in the beginning, I wasn't even aware where the jealousy was coming from. I was just a jealous person. Well, the jealousy came from my own attachment. Okay, and I didn't understand that. That's when I was in that unaware phase. But through awareness of my thoughts, my being, my emotion, my meditating and getting deep on myself, I slowly began to shed light on the root of that jealousy and why this happening in the first place. I began to bring awareness around that concept, and I began to separate my awareness, where I was looking from my thoughts, feelings, patterns, and beliefs, viewing these as 2 separate things. That allowed me to observe those patterns and see the bigger picture. My jealousy was rooted in fear and not feeling like enough. I didn't feel like I was worthy of love. And then of course I would be jealous and afraid that my lover would leave me, right? And that would lead to jealousy, because jealousy is what? Jealousy is control. If I can control my lover, if I through my jealousy can show them and have them behave a certain way, that will soothe my fears and make me feel better. But you see how I didn't realize that until I became conscious of it. I needed to make a change with my own meaning and attachment to that situation. And in order to change it, that leads us right into step number 2. Step number 2 is the reward. What reward are you getting from the attachment we have that we discovered in awareness? And make no mistake, there is always a reward, even if it's negative. For my jealousy, the reward was a false sense of security. If I express that jealousy, if I control the relationship, I will keep them from leaving me. That's the insidious reward that I would get from that dynamic, and it helped to soothe my fear. My lover can't leave me if I control the situation. I will be enough. And that's obviously unhealthy, but that's how this can look when we start to look at these unconscious, unhealthy attachments and dynamics that we carry around people, places, and things. Now, another huge reward that we can tap into is being right. And it's really bad when we actually are right. That righteousness can really cause a lot of damage and suffering in the name of being right. A saying I always like is, I'd rather be happy than right. I would much rather just be happy than being right. because our identity can also be a huge reward with attachment. Things can become so attached and part of us that they become a part of our identity, and we become so attached to them that it makes it even harder to disengage and be kind of aware of them and bring them to the light of awareness. So in this step, once we become aware of what we are attached to, we begin to dive deep within to find out what is the reward. Why are we in this attachment pattern? And that leads us right into step number 3. Reframing and assigning a new meaning. Now that we've identified the attachment and we found the reward system behind it, we now get to reframe it. We get to give things a new meaning and change the story around this attachment to one that better serves us in this moment. We can choose to look at the attachment reward dynamic in a brand new way. We can see how it may have served us in the past and be thankful for how it served us, but realize that we don't need this dynamic anymore, and at this point, it's probably causing us more harm than good. We can realize that we have grown and evolved and are different now, and that we are able to make a new choice in creating a new dynamic, creating a new story and meaning behind this attachment, and that's the power of the reframe. For example, I can look at my jealousy attachment dynamic and reframe the whole story. Wow, I learned so much about myself through this jealousy. It highlighted to me how much I didn't love and value myself, how low my self-esteem was, and the underlying childhood trauma and stories that created this attachment within me. If it wasn't for this jealousy, I would have never went on the journey to heal this wound within myself. But now I am confident. Now I am self-assured. Now I love myself enough to release and let go of the need to control my relationships out of jealousy and fear. I no longer need this attachment. And that realization, that reframing, leads us directly into step 4, which is choosing to let go. At the root of it, all letting go and reframing is a choice. If our attachment comes from within us, from how we choose to think, feel, and believe about the thing we are attached to, then, in theory, it's a simple matter for us to choose something different to think, feel, and mean and believe about something, because we assign the meaning in the first place. Now, I know it's not always that easy. Momentum builds up over time, but fundamentally it is a simple choice. We chose to be attached at a certain level of consciousness, and we can choose to let go with a different level of consciousness. And these first 3 steps help us to understand the current dynamic, and it's mostly a permission slip to let go, though. The reality is we could let go in an instant if we really wanted to, but it's almost like we have an attachment and a belief that letting go is hard. So there's like a paradox there of needing to let go of the belief that letting go is hard. Because anything we view long enough in pure conscious awareness will wind down and be reintegrated with our whole being. That's why we typically will escape and numb ourselves so much from this process and this work, because those patterns of energy that we want to heal are busy trying to distract us from doing the work of healing them. That's why we're more comfortable binging Netflix than sitting quietly meditating on why we have jealousy or why we have fear when we observe our thoughts, because those patterns want to survive. They want to distract you from the healing. And the ultimate answer to the letting go process is making that choice in pure awareness and mentally working through those systems to change our attachment and change our story. Now, bonus number 5 is how this applies to manifestation. Letting go is important just in general life and living a happier life. The more we can manage our attachments and continually transform them into healthier versions, the better off our life becomes, and it will change your life. But the other part of this is when it comes to our manifestation game specifically. That's where this becomes very powerful. We can use the same dynamics when looking at manifestations that aren't working in our lives. Why do we want this manifestation? Why do you want it? And you can approach this process the same way a 2 or 3-year-old child does. If any of you are parents, you know this. Ask the question why over and over and over again. And by asking yourself why, it will lead you on a journey to one step more, one step deeper until you find the reason why you really want the manifestation. You may think you want money, for example, but if you ask why enough times, you may find the root is desire for freedom or desire for security out of a fear of lack and scarcity. So what's the reward and attachment behind the desperate need for money or the desperate need for love? And how can we reframe that into a more healthy expression where we feel abundant and loved within so that we will attract abundance and love from outside of ourselves. Now, if you're busy at being attached to needing money or needing love to soothe fears or trauma dynamics, then it's probably never going to come into your life. Or if it does, it's going to be in some jacked up way, like a monkey's paw or a crooked genie situation where you got to be careful what you wish for. It's going to come in all messed up, and you're probably going to get it just to prove that belief. If there's an unhealthy attachment to what you want to manifest, more than likely you're going to block it. You're going to block it from coming in. Now, it's okay to want money. It's okay to want love. It's okay to manifest and to want to manifest. But you have to look at your attachment to it. Anything we want to manifest out of neediness or lackfulness will not come in. Or it will come in, but in a weird way, only to prove to you the belief of your lack. You'll get the money just to lose it, or you'll get the lover just to lose them. So in my jealousy example, I would get a lover, but then that lover would cheat on me because that became a self-fulfilling prophecy. My low level belief was that I'm not enough so people will leave me. So the universe brought me people that would leave me. You see how this kind of works. Another thing I find very helpful when it comes to manifesting is not only letting go of our attachments that are blocking the manifestation, but also having a system in place that takes you start to finish and helps you plan how you're going to manifest. You see, it's not only about stopping the things that are holding you back, but it's also about starting doing the things that you need to do to speed up your manifestation and make it work so much better for you. Check out this video if you're interested in the manifesting system that I use every day, that I've had massive success with. I hope you choose to make it a great day, and much peace to you, my friend.